and heroes. Gonna tell you about pros and heroes. Gonna tell you about
comic books, costumes,
Facts, boots.
and other stuff.
In this week's issue, World's Finest Wednesday. Hello. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Welcome into Bros, Foes, and Heroes. I'm Zach, joined as always by the
Interrupting one.
yes, Mr. Mike.
That's me.
Mike, thank you for joining me as always.
Sure, it was quite a travel.
It was, even though I have just roped you into this for over 3 years now.
You have not roped me into this. If you were roping me into this, it would be like the other shows that I've stopped doing.
Anyway, this is Bros, Foes, and Heroes. I'm Zach. This is Mike. Each week we cover a comic book character or story. We just got done on Monday wrapping up Superman for All Seasons, where we covered fall and winter for part 2 there. So you can go catch that from Monday. Now, this Wednesday,
it's me catching it.
How our shows break down is every Monday we usually have something a little bit more long form that we can dive into of a longer story, and then on Wednesdays, so aptly titled World's Finest Wednesdays, because a lot of this started with some of the crazy World's Finest stories we would cover. We kind of take a look back at some of the great Silver Age and even Bronze Age and Golden Age stories of the comics from the past, usually just ridiculous ones, and just have fun and laugh at them. And the one today, Mike, is it's no exception here. I thought that I would stay with Superman since we did cover Superman for All Seasons this week.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be the Superman that you're used to. It's a Superman we've covered before because it's not our everyday Superman. It is a younger Superman, and that is Superboy, is who we're covering. Now, back in the 50s and 60s, this issue came out in 1960, December of 1960. Our story in here, like once we get to it, the Superboy stories at the time were the stories of a young Clark Kent, right? This is Superman before he moved away to Metropolis and became Superman.
Yeah.
So it's him as Superboy doing things in Smallville, kind of.
Superboy. And I love the fact that for the last 3 episodes, I have mentioned Mighty Dog.
3, yeah, if not
3
longer.
episodes in a row now, and now here he is. That's it, Mighty Dog.
There you go. You spoke it into existence.
Pull that snapped cable over to me with your teeth so that I can save this Arrow train.
Yep, man.
Arrow train.
Arrow train. We have a lot of those.
Train in the air.
I love Superboy. Great Scott. On this planet, millions of miles away from Earth, there's a mighty boy and a mighty dog who have superpowers like Crypto and me. That's not our story, though, Mike. I'm sorry.
Damn it.
I was hoping you didn't want to get excited for that. No, one that we're going to deal
Mighty
with.
Boy, Mighty Dog.
It's a theme that we've kind of had here recently on these World's Finest Wednesdays. Without
Is he just going to
knowing it.
splice that cable back together?
Yeah,
Is that what
it's
he's going to do?
Essentially, I assume so, or maybe like use his heat vision to solder it back together, kind of.
That seems.
Structural integrity wise, it'd probably be a little bit
Well,
weaker.
it's not only structural integrity. I'm wondering if there's any sort of signal going through that cable. Is there a twisted pair in there that has to be retwisted?
Oh no, that's a good point. Or here's the thing: I would think that that's probably electrical of some sort.
Right. Yeah, I would think that dog's dead.
Well, no, a normal dog, not my dog.
Oh, he's got
our story, Mike.
shielded teeth.
We're gonna deal with some more time travel.
Let's do it. Time travel.
We're dealing with.
I'm in.
The impossible mission. Now I don't have it. You know what I'm going to do? I don't know. I'm going to go off camera real quick to grab something.
Oh, no. There he goes. Where'd he go? Where'd he go, guys? Where'd he go? Oh, there he is.
And I'm back.
It's like a goldfish.
Quick.
Like I turn around and, there's a brand new castle. Turn around. Oh, it's a brand new castle.
7 flights of stairs. The elevator.
It
It was the moat.
Very quick.
It was tough. No, so I went
Fleet of feet.
I went to a couple months ago.
Okay.
They had a Friends of the Library sale that they do
Friends
sometimes.
of the Library.
And I went to just see like what they had to pick up, and there was a collection that they had that was called Superman Past and Future. Right, it's a hardback collection of I don't know from when.
It's from the past and the future.
It was from the past and the future, but the thing is I had it here, and
You know
it's
how hard it is to publish a book from the future?
very hard. You got to wait for the right time. But it's just a collection of all these different Superman stories that mainly had to deal with him either going back in time and
Is this
going
one
to
in
the
it?
future. This is where I got. This was the
Oh,
very
wow.
first story in here.
Wow.
Because one night I was like, I need something to read. Why don't I read like one of these for World's Finest Wednesday?
The first story.
This was the first story in
this
book.
whole thing is the impossible mission. But I'm just
Open your
saying
page.
it's impossible, and
Yeah.
it's the first one.
Yep, it's the very first one. It's
All
the
right.
impossible mission.
Okay. Ooh,
And-
this one he's got. Look at this, guys. He's you can't really see it.
No.
He's fighting gummy bears, and he's got a beard. That one's weird.
We're saving the gummy bear fight, the bearded gummy bear fight, for a later
Oh yeah,
date.
look at that. There
It
we
is.
are.
It's the first one. So, all right, don't turn.
Look at this one. He's fighting a bouncy ball. Wait, right there. Look at that.
That's the thing, is he goes into the future, into the past to fight a lot of toys. It's
Bouncy
weird.
balls.
So don't turn ahead too much, Mike,
I'm not.
because I want
Just
this
enough to ruin the story.
Exactly. No, it's only like 7 pages. This is a short story. So we are dealing with the impossible mission. Now, what I like to do is give credit where credit is due, obviously, with the people who work on this. So the impossible mission from Superboy, issue number 85, December 1960, written by Jerry Siegel, who is one of the creators of Superman.
Yeah.
Also, penciler and inker is George Papp, and your editor, who was the Superman, Superboy editor of all these things, Mort Weisinger. I feel like every time we do World's Finest Wednesday and I bring up Mort Weisinger, I have something else to add, but I watched a little clip from the DC origin story the other day, and Neil Adams was talking about, people wondered why why Mort Weisinger was mad all the time. And he goes, he told me once, he goes, if you woke up every morning and you looked in the mirror at this face, wouldn't you be upset too? And I was just like, he goes,
That's
I didn't
pretty
know how
funny,
that-
though.
Yeah.
That's decent.
Anyway, so he's our editor for this, but let's go ahead in our story, The Impossible Mission. Let's dive into it. We have the Kents, Jonathan and Martha and their young Superboy, sitting around Superman's, what is it called?
Time scanner.
His time scanner.
Mm-hmm.
And his Superboy's dad brings up, wow, look, we can watch the assassination of President Abraham Lincoln.
Why would you watch that over and over? Why would you watch that?
He goes, it's a tragedy he had to die that way.
That way. I don't like that phrasing either. He
would've
could have
died
just fallen down the stairs and had a hemorrhage.
That would have been fine.
That would have been fine. The fact that he was assassinated during a play, for God's sakes.
Now, this is what they did a lot in these stories is the very top panel. It's bigger of the page.
Yeah.
And it's filled with like more art, and it just kind of teases the
And
story.
it's sometimes BS.
It is BS.
Honestly.
Like you won't get to it, but this time
Yeah.
it at least tells you like, oh, this is going to happen. Because here's the thing: they never bring up the time scanner at all.
When is this from? 19 what?
1960.
Okay.
The end of 1960.
What's
almost 61.
amazing to me is they didn't think these future time scanners would be in color.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Because they only knew black and white at that
Exactly.
point, for the most part.
Well, here's the thing: he's telling the future, or well, it's a time scanner, but the past it's black and white. 'cause
So
they
in
didn't have color back then
1865,
either.
everything was black and white?
Exactly.
Oh, okay. All right.
Even though when he goes back in time here in a second, it's all in color. But still,
Well, it's through his future eyes.
that's
That's
true.
what it
so he
is.
can see color.
Right.
There just wasn't color there.
He can see color, they just couldn't.
I'm glad we figured this
Yeah.
out. He goes,
Evolution, Zach. Jeez.
my bad. Superboy goes, I won't let it happen, Dad. I'll go back in the past through the time barrier and prevent it.
Can you
Here's-
imagine how many things you would F up if you did that?
Just wait till the story happens.
I think Ashton Kutcher taught us that you cannot do that.
Is that a butterfly effect reference?
That's exactly what that was.
Wow,
Yeah.
nice.
Thank
nice.
you. Thank you.
So it does
I'll
say
hang up and listen for my
that
answer.
it's Abraham Lincoln Day in Smallville. Where we actually get into our story, which isn't that President's Day? more
It's
than anything?
Abraham Lincoln Day.
Oh, it kinda
well,
fits.
now in the past, there was a George Washington Day and an Abraham Lincoln
That's
Day.
true, and they had President's Day in
And then
between
they
the two.
combined them into
Yeah.
President's Day, and I believe that's when they did Martin Luther King Day. I think they took one of those days and turned it into Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
See, I feel like when we were in school, we had President's Day, but I remember celebrating, at least in elementary.
I just know you can get a hell of a deal on a mattress.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's what Abraham Lincoln would have wanted.
Right, right.
But in Smallville, it is Abraham
It's a
Lincoln
shame
Day,
you had to sleep that way.
and the crowd has gathered and been moved by the mayor's speech.
Uh-huh.
So the mayor is giving a speech almost 100 years in the future about President Abraham Lincoln.
Okay.
That's bringing the crowd to tears.
Mm.
And he goes,
He was tall.
I know it was
He
just
wore
like,
a hat.
It's just like, Lincoln saved our nation from being split apart by civil war, and he paid for it with his
He
life.
did not.
And he paid for it with his life, killed by a cowardly assassin.
He did not stop our country from being in a civil war.
He helped guide him through it. It could have been worded better, but
Okay. All right. I'm not going to die on that hill, so we're good.
yeah. No, I'm saying like he is the president while it was going on,
Yeah.
but essentially
Yeah.
like got
Yeah.
the thought got everybody back together.
Sure.
So, in the crowd,
Whatever you say, Zach. Always an apologist for Superboy.
I am. I'm a Superboy apologist. But it goes, in the crowd are Clark Kent and his foster parents. And, like, his parents are upset, like, oh, it's such a shame that a great American was murdered that way. And Superboy's just thinking to himself, and he goes,
Very rarely do they call him his foster parents, right?
yeah,
That's
no.
a weird phrasing.
It is a weird phrasing, but they do put it
I don't
here.
think they went through a system.
No, they didn't. They just found him in a rocket and kept him.
He's like, oh, here's a kid. Let's take that one.
Superboy just thinks to himself, I'm getting an idea, and I won't breathe a word of it to anybody, even my parents. And so he goes back, and he's like, that evening, at the Kent household, as they slumber, Clark slips out of bed and transforms himself into the world's mightiest boy. And he goes, like, I have this fantastic mission. I'm going to attempt. If I succeed, and I hope I can, it may change the entire course of history for the better.
Or worse.
Or worse. So he's like, all right, now to use my super speed swiftly enough to crash the time barrier. And what does crashing the time barrier look like?
You
Him
shoot through a bunch
through
of
a calendar.
You
That's
shoot through a bunch of those single-day calendars that
just
only
the year.
represent a year for some reason.
So you fly through a calendar, and you pop out on the other side somewhere in history. To where
This
he
time,
lands on
where does he pop out?
Good Friday, April 14th,
Why is it Good
1865.
Friday?
And it says, this is the very day President Lincoln was assassinated.
Oh, I didn't realize he was assassinated on Good Friday.
Here's what I want to know.
Was he?
How can he tell that date? I want to know how accurate Superman's able to be like.
Very good point. Very good point. He's like, it's
like
Good Friday.
like he knows when to land through the time barrier to be like,
he is
yep,
super.
it's just the day I want it.
Yeah.
I get that. Some
Yeah.
of it. I understand, again, these are written for kids. I'm not putting
Sure.
too much into it. We're
There's a
having
little
fun.
bit of
suspension of disbelief.
yes.
I get that. But at the same point in time.
Some takes more than others.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, he does a lot of this. You got to suspend a lot of disbelief
Yeah.
here.
I like how he shoots through a calendar, though. That's
He does.
My
Well,
favorite.
that's how you go back in time. He decides
I'm here.
to soar over the presidential residence and see if Mr. Lincoln's there, and he uses his supervision and notices, nope, it's just his wife and their son talking there. But his wife says, no, you can't talk to your father now, son. He's taking a room over at the Peterson house. So Superboy goes, oh, I need to go over to the Peterson house. So he flies over there to the hotel. I'm not moving over to the
How
next
many
page.
F does he know where the Peterson house is?
It doesn't explain. Much.
Okay, all right.
I'm not showing you because it's gonna
He's got a map of the stars.
It's gonna give away our first little
Okay.
twist here.
All right.
So he goes over to
Twist.
so he goes
Very
over-
generous, I'm sure.
He goes over to the Peterson house, and using his supervision again, he notices a note on what would you call the person running the desk?
The concierge.
Yeah.
The
Whoever's running the
yeah.
hotel at the
The
desk
lackey.
there, and the note says, don't allow anybody to disturb Mr. L in room 309. And so Superboy goes,
Mr. L.
Mr. L, that's got to be Lincoln. And he just looks outside the outside of the house, and he's
It's
like,
Luther.
oh, that room has got to be room 309.
What the?
I'm going to fly through that window. And as soon as he does, he's greeted by a man there in a suit. It is Lex Luthor.
Yeah, that's it.
And he goes, Superboy. And
Kinda
he's like,
figured.
oh, great Scott. Which Doc Brown is apparently Superboy.
Yeah.
Mr. L is Luthor, the adult Luthor. I love this
That is a
explanation.
weird phrasing, too, the adult Luthor.
He goes, I innocently offended him when he was a brilliant young scientist in Smallville, and he vowed vengeance what's he doing here in the past as an adult? So Lex Luthor says, I expected trouble, and he pulls out red kryptonite.
Does this make Lex Luthor smarter than Superboy?
Lex Luthor has kind of always been smarter than Superman.
You think so?
Yeah, I would argue.
Too smart for his own good kind of thing.
Yes. Yeah. Like,
Because he figured out time travel before Superboy did here.
in this sense, yeah.
Yeah.
Granted, I mean,
But it did take him longer
because he was an adult.
because he's an adult. Okay. This argument is way too convoluted for this story.
It is, but Lex Luthor is extremely smart.
Superboy.
Like that's the thing is in All-Star Superman. No, you know what? I'm not going to tell you stuff because we're going to cover All-Star Superman.
Okay.
So he shows up and he explains it, but Luthor has red kryptonite. Now we've touched on red kryptonite briefly. It causes. It is essentially whatever they wanted the writers to have it do. It did.
Yeah.
It is like, oh, it's unstable. We don't know what it does, but it's like we want to give Superman a lion head, red kryptonite.
Later stories
We
of
wanna-
Superman, it caused a lot of ED.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We want to make him look like an ant, red kryptonite.
Yeah. That's it. It'll
So in this one, what they do is they have Lex Luthor says, I expected trouble, so I brought red kryptonite. And Superboy explains that, like, we don't know how red kryptonite will always affect
An
me, but it
unpredictable
does.
manner.
But right
Yeah.
now it does. It has me frozen solid. I can't move. I'm like a statue. So Luther's just walking around with this red kryptonite like, oh, so you can't move, huh? While you're under the spell of this red kryptonite. Good. This should be amusing. And like Superman is honest, or Superboy, either way, it's the same guy, is just stuck there.
Super guy.
Yeah, super guy. And he's like, I can't move a single muscle. So Luther's just sitting there walking around and explains to him how he got here. And he's like, I suppose you're wondering how I got here then, Superboy. Very much like a Bond villain.
Yeah.
And he's like, in order to escape from Superman, who was after me in the year 1960, I invented a time machine and escaped into the past. And it just has him go, ha ha, where I'm going, Superman will never find me. Never. But if he does, I'll have an unpleasant surprise for him.
And
red kryptonite.
For some reason, he's in a 21-sided die.
It is. He looks like
Yeah.
it's a 20 die. He's playing D&D to get
Yeah.
back to the past.
There's no way he's getting a natural 6 out of that.
No, natural 20?
I don't know.
Okay.
I just came up with a number.
We should play D&D with you at some point in time.
Yeah.
You don't seem down for that.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I love rules.
Oh, yeah, that's for sure. Mike, I'm getting you a shirt for your birthday. I love rules.
I love rules.
And so Luther's just like, the only thing that puzzles me is why was it
Look
you?
at him leaning on him, just being so condescending.
He's like, I just don't understand
Oh,
why
so
it was
funny.
you who chased after me and
Yeah.
not like adult Superman that
Yeah.
was chasing after me. And then that's where Superboy's like, oh, the irony. By a
Oh,
terrible
what
twist of
ghastly
fate.
irony.
Yeah. Mr. L, I blundered into here in the past is the one person on Earth who can stop me from accomplishing my real purpose and coming to here to save Lincoln. So Luther, again, just like, I don't have to worry about anything, just honestly lays down in bed. And he's like, all right.
That's the scene I don't really understand. I mean, you are so confident in yourself that you just lay out like you're ready to get a massage from Superboy or whatever.
Well, he's just like, you're going to sit here and watch me. I'm going to order one of them old, fancy 1860s ladies to come rub me down.
Yep. Bring the petticoat.
And he goes, like, Luther goes, might as well make myself comfortable. Then there's no hurry. But it shows going outside. Meanwhile, as President Lincoln emerges from Peterson House, then Lincoln says things like, I must return home now. Miss Lincoln and I are going to the Ford Theater tonight to see the new comedy, Our American Cousin. I wouldn't want to miss it. Like, they have to.
He's
honestly
thinking
mention it.
that to himself.
He's thinking that to
He
himself.
didn't say that out loud. He's thinking that. He's thinking, I have to go because Mrs. Lincoln and I are going to the theater to see this very specific play, and I could not miss that. And he's thinking that. He did not say that out
Nope,
loud to
he-
anyone.
it thought
He
bubbled
thought
with him.
that.
And so Luther is
I have
still
an itch
thinking,
on my neck. I better scratch it. I just thought that.
Exactly.
But see, the difference is I said it out loud also, so now Zach understands
Exactly.
why I was just staring off into the distance for 5 seconds thinking that thing about the thing that my wife and I are going to do tonight.
No, Lincoln didn't have time for that.
Weirdo.
Luther is still trying to figure it out. He's like, perhaps Superman became busy and somehow sent a message to his previous self to send his previous self out after me. And he's like, to capture me. He's like, no, never mind. Like, he's just like coming through all these reasons. And Superboy's just like, no, that's not it. If only I could tell him the real reason that I came back to this particular day, maybe even you would let me go. And Luther being like, you talked about him laying down. He's like, maybe a good smoke will help me. And he takes the match and he just strikes it across Superboy's nose to light it as he lights his cigar. And then he sits there, takes a giant inhale, and just puffs the smoke back in his face.
I don't like the fact that he just blew Superboy. That doesn't.
Well, blue smoke.
Oh.
But here I am thinking about this now, though. This is supposed to be like if we saw this in public of a grown man just sitting there taking a giant huff of a cigar, just blowing it like this 12-year-old.
Well, number one, you saw him strike the match across his face.
He's kind of an asshole.
Wow.
I get it, it's Superboy, but still,
Well, it's
a
Luther,
12-year-old
too.
kid. Yeah. And then Superboy brings up, he's like, he's so arrogantly puffing smoke in my face. What do I do if what I would do if I weren't helpless? And so Luther just sits down there and he's like, I think I'm just going to enjoy this situation fully. I've got plenty of time. Plenty of time.
Plenty.
They make sure to spell it out so you know that he is so confident. I've got plenty of time.
Yeah.
The hours fly by until
He just
across
needs a
the
white
street,
cat
He does.
to
just
stroke
so- yeah.
while he's saying all these things.
No, Superboy. I don't expect you to escape. I expect you to die.
My lasers.
Yeah, exactly. The hours fly by until across the street at the Ford Theater in the presidential box. Very amusing play, don't you think, Abe? Chuckle. Danged funny.
Chuckle.
Danged funny is what he thought.
That is the equivalent of today, somebody saying, yeah, LOL.
Exactly.
Saying it out loud.
That's what-
Instead, Abraham Lincoln sat there and said, chuckle.
Danged funny. At that moment in Luther's hotel, he's like, no matter how desperately I try, I can't
That's
budge.
why
Is
he
what
was killed,
Superboy is.
because he said that out loud.
That's it.
That's what it was.
And
That was the straw that broke the camel's
Booth
back.
was just like,
Yeah.
I could deal with you just thinking.
When
and
you
not
say
saying
chuckle,
anything.
I just want to shoot you in the head.
Luther says
Too soon?
A
Sorry.
little bit. Listen to me, Superboy. I've got plenty to say.
Superboy,
He
what
goes,
an insult.
I've got plenty to say to you. You have roused my wrath as a youth by thwarting my greatness as a scientist.
Oh.
And so I turned to crime. And Superboy's like, no, there's nothing. He's thinking this because he can't speak.
He's raised
I've
his
tried
cockles.
to help you. You became a criminal. It was because of your twisted mania for power at any cost. But Luther's still just showing, I grew up to become your greatest foe. Despite all of Superman's superpowers, my super science has become his greatest threat. Someday I'll destroy him. Think that over, you stupid, helpless statue. Like, he's just yelling at this kid. And he leaves.
For a time travel adventure, there's a lot of text in this.
There is. But he leaves the red kryptonite there by Superboy. And he goes, suffer. And he just, like, goes to leave. But then across the street in the Ford Theater, assassin John Wilkes Booth strikes. And it has him saying out the Sic Semper Tyrannis, death to all tyrants. And then it shows him jumping from the booth. Here's the thing. If you look, it looks like President Lincoln is still, he just fell asleep. Like the way they drew him, he just looks like he fell asleep up there.
Yeah.
Anyway, they have they have Booth jump from the president's booth there, and it says, the president has been shot. Stop that man. Soon, Luther looks out the window, and he's like, what's all the excitement out there? They're carrying a wounded man across the street towards this hotel. His face, oh no, it's Abraham Lincoln. And then my favorite panel of the entire comic, Mike, is Superboy sitting there with just tears. He can't move. He just has tears flowing out of his eyes. And Luther goes, so that's it. You came into the past not to capture me, but to save the life of Lincoln from an assassin's bullet. And so Luther departs with the red kryptonite. I didn't know. Blast you. Don't stare at me like that. I had nothing against Lincoln. I may be evil, but I had no hate for him. And he runs back to, like, he's just like the Cinderella gif of him, like, running and crying, like, and he runs back to his time machine. He's like, why did fate choose me to prevent Superboy from saving the life of Lincoln? A great man, and I'm responsible for many crimes, but this is the worst of them all. Lincoln's blood is on my hands. I'm sorry. Sorry.
I have one point
Sorry.
to make. One point to make.
Yeah.
They have a time travel machine. Go back and do it again. What's the big freaking deal? Do it again.
That'd be too easy, Mike.
Just do it again.
Yeah, because
We've seen enough time travel movies to know you can just do it over and over.
But they didn't interact with anything. They easily could.
That's what I'm saying. They could just easily do it again.
But no.
Or go back, I don't know, 1 minute sooner.
Yeah.
Do it again.
Or Superboy just decides, as the effects of red kryptonite wear off, that he's just going to break through the time barrier again. So he flies through all those single calendars.
Well, the nice thing is they already had holes in them.
So come back to the future, and our story ends with returning to Smallville. Superboy tells his parents about the episode, and one day when they visit Washington D.C., Jonathan Kent goes, "What a great man! It's a shame you failed to prevent his assassination."
You dumbass.
And Superboy goes, "I tried, Mr. Lincoln. I tried awfully hard."
No, you didn't, because you can just do it again.
But I learned no mere mortal, not even a Superboy, can change fate. And there's no use going back in time again
Not
to do
even
so.
a Superboy.
Bump, bump, ba
Wow. Oh, poor Superboy.
So there
I feel
you go.
bad for him
That
not saving
was-
Lincoln.
That was our impossible mission of him trying to go save Lincoln. And he couldn't. 'cause of
Jumping
red kryptonite.
Jehoshaphat. That was something
Next
else.
week, I'll tease you the one that I already have read,
Yeah.
so we can record
Is it out here?
It's not of there, but
Damn
it's a. I came across another book like that I got from the library. Of Superman's girlfriend Lois Lane, except this time, Mike, her face is inside of a lead box. She refuses to let anybody see her face,
Well, yeah. That's perfectly reasonable.
and there's a reason behind it, and it is very stupid. The whole thing. So that is what
I
we have.
can't wait
look
to see her
forward
face in a lead box.
It is
Nice.
a story from.
Oh, and Superman can't see through it because it's lead, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
So the things that happen, and it's another silly one for us to get to
No,
next week.
come on.
That's from Superman's girl space friend Lois Lane, number
Girl space
13.
friend.
Number 13 we'll dive into next week, but that is the issue or our story for this week's World Finest Wednesday.
Oh, this is the
the
one
Impossible Mission.
Under a red sun. That's the one where he grows a beard.
Oh,
Yeah, so he's under a red Krypton sun, I guess.
I guess. I don't
And
know. I
he's-
only read
and
that.
He fights a green tiger.
Oh,
That's all I know
maybe it's a.
so far.
I just read that first one. I was like, that's good enough for a World
It
Finest
is great.
Wednesday.
No, it was great.
So,
it was about as stupid as all of them.
There's more in there that we will probably get to involved.
And there
in
are
time
so
travel.
many leaps in judgment and leaps in storytelling there that is just so much undone.
Oh, for sure.
But very nice.
Yeah,
Good job.
well, thank you. And Luther just being so
Luther's
full
a
of himself.
prick.
Oh, it was great though. Like,
Luther's a prick, but then he's like, "Oh my God, I screwed up. I gotta go."
just fly your dice back again.
That's what I'm saying. Just come on back, dude.
And then when Superboy shows up, be like, "Hey, I know you're not here for me. Go save Luther." And when he goes to go save Lincoln, and when he goes to save Lincoln, hop back in and go somewhere else. Boom.
That's
done.
it. That's what I'm saying. Or just don't go back to there. We were never told why he was actually
Yeah,
there.
that's true. Why did he pick 1865?
He's just there. Good Friday, 1865. That's where I want to go.
Oh, it just so happens to be like Superboy purposely hunted it out, and Luther just fell into it.
Very stupid.
All right, there you go. That is this week's World Finest Wednesday. Thank you guys, as always, for taking the time out to watch, to listen,
Yes.
to subscribe, to comment, everything. We appreciate it so much. Can't tell you
We
how
love
much we're thankful for it.
you very much,
Very
but
much.
we don't like your cousin.
Yes, but you're cool.
You're great.
Make sure to check out all the other great shows on the Rogue Media Network family of podcasts.
RogueMediaNetwork.com.
And until next time, stay safe, everybody.
And a GollyCon.
Frozen, heroes. Gonna tell you about frozen, heroes. Gonna tell you about.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.